do you have any? We'll just go ahead and kind of, let's see here. Flip that to us. You're gonna have to see us twice in the corner and uh, down there for right now. But uh,
That's okay.
do you have any ideas why we have had a hard time filling brakes?
Well, the real easy answer is I don't, to be quite honest. And the main, you know, I run a break group,
Yeah.
you know, and have for the last 6 years.
Hmm.
And
Successful brake group.
yeah, I mean, it's, I
Yeah,
mean, like we have literally just crossed the 1,600 member threshold.
that's awesome.
Like it's a lot.
Hmm.
And we've, over time we've expanded from racing to doing like a little bit of football and like, we've done poker and miscellaneous things.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. It's a head scratcher for me in a way. Um, the things that I look at as a consumer or as a collector are things like, do I feel like I can trust the breakers?
Yeah.
I feel like this is a trustworthy shop. We've got a group of people that can be trusted, not only with handling the cards and doing things in a fair manner, but making sure they get to who they belong to.
Yeah.
Um, there's some really large entities out there that have had their share of issues where they pull something and then they say, "Oh, we can't give you that."
Yes.
That's not going
Some
to happen.
famous issues with
Yeah,
that.
that's
Yes.
not going to happen around here.
Yeah.
Um, and then beyond trust, I look at price.
Hmm.
I think is probably at the top of everybody's list,
Hmm.
and I think we're more than fair on price when
Hmm.
it comes to brakes. Um, I mean, I've even gone so far as to think. I've even gone so far as to think, well, is it me?
Yeah.
Maybe it's a personality thing. Like,
Yeah.
so I don't know, to be quite honest. I really don't.
Yeah. And I mean, just to throw this out here, one thing is, Nick, me and you were talking about this in a message. Nick has been very diligent to try to like get them to go. Like
Mm-hmm.
Nick wants them to go,
Yeah.
and so you have both you guys. So you have two different personalities. I'm here 70% of the time, maybe 75% of the time, and
Yeah.
and it could be that none of us are like let's go and like over the
Right.
top crazy and you know that might be part of it. I'm not sure, um, but I, I think, and this is another topic we're going to get into. I do think things have on the braking side for most people have slowed down a little bit
Yes.
or are different.
Yes.
The tactics at which they have to use. I just think that's a summer thing and hobby box is so high thing that I do think that it has slowed down recently.
Yeah.
But the only thing that I can really put my finger on is from the beginning. We're talking, there's videos of me trying it in a spare bedroom at my house,
Mm-hmm.
filling about as many as we do.
Mm-hmm.
That's about the rate. Where I was doing that 8, 9 years ago, and it never really took off
Right.
to the level that it could have. Now, I do want to say, and this is my big thing. We have never had to do breaks.
Right.
I've never seen it as a necessary part of the business. And just going back and just throwing this out here because I know has to like literally shock some people when I say this, but if you go back 2017, maybe 2018, I was one of the larger probably wax people in Ohio before braking got really big.
Yeah.
Prior to COVID, before braking got really big, because I just moved it the old fashioned way. Now that's when you didn't even have to verify you had a shop. We did, but it was kind of part of a craft mall,
Right.
kind of thing. And so it was, I dollar wise, I was doing some pretty impressive things for the time,
Sure.
for 2017.
Sure.
So I was one of probably the more successful at literally just hobby box to consumer.
Yeah.
Out at shows, through the shop, that sort of thing. So it just never seemed like a need. Now, granted, that's when boxes were 150 was a good hobby box. That was a Prism
Yep.
hobby box, Prism football,
Yep.
2017, 2018 box. So when it began to get more expensive, it didn't go. And then I literally tried it again, a very big attempt. Again, I had a football guy, I had a baseball guy. The baseball guy was doing his best. The football guy was actually went to work for Buckeye Breaks.
Oh.
So he knew what he was doing on our page, on our social media, which of course, again, we've grown in 5 years, but we couldn't get a football break to go. And the baseball, it was one trick pony, Bowman.
Yeah.
Can you get me more Bowman? And that's not what I needed.
Right.
What I needed was help moving a variety.
Right.
So I just almost think that the customers are changing, the customer base is changing because the prices are getting high. However, the majority of my customers have never been breakers. They've been people that just want to bust a box.
Right.
So I don't know if that has, something to do with it
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah. And one of the things which I don't know that it makes a lot of sense when you compare to other operations, what
Yeah.
I'm about to say, but
Yeah.
one of the things that I will say is I feel like there hasn't been a lot of what I would call fantastic products
Hmm.
over the last, I don't know, couple of months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there
Yeah.
hasn't been anything that people are just really excited about.
And what they are, my rebuys would make like platinum baseball.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to do, let's do some more blasters of platinum baseball, but do you want to do them at 60, $75 a pop?
Right.
So that kind of ends up being kind of the thing there.
Yeah. It's yeah. I it's a me from the like when I look at what I do breaking wise, I get to pick and choose what product I want to break based on the interest and demand.
Yeah.
It's a different animal when you have a shop involved,
Mm-hmm.
and now you have inventory that you're like, well, you know, what do I need to move?
Yeah.
What's selling in the shop? What's not selling in the shop? What would be beneficial if we broke this?
Mm-hmm.
And I know you've many times over the course of the last 2 to 3 years as we've been doing this, there's been many times where you've been like, hey, I went out and sourced
Mm-hmm.
this and this for the break because
Yeah.
I know it's hot right now.
Yes.
Like, I don't know, select hangers maybe or something
Yeah.
like that comes to
Mhm.
mind.
Yeah.
Where you probably didn't have very many, if any.
Yeah. For sure.
So yeah, it's definitely a different animal for the shop to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to pick another shop's brain on how they balance that, between what your inventory is,
Mm-hmm.
your inventory needs,
Mm-hmm.
and the break demands, and how you make that, how you make those decisions, I guess.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to hear somebody else and how they're making it work, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And I would too. Um, we definitely when we were first doing this, we'd get a little crowd of people here.
Right.
And and if summer happens, plans happen.
Oh, yeah.
People. We dropped a couple people because of sports
Right.
and stuff like that. So there's definitely some thoughts behind the scenes here of, do we move on to a whatnot? Eventually, a Fanatics Live, maybe, but move on to a whatnot. Start putting up cases on whatnot. And again, I think you alluded to this in a post. The difference is, I'm not going to offer a box at my shelf price on whatnot, and I'm not going to add just 10, 15% to a break that I've configured
Right.
When we're doing it just on Facebook Live, on whatnot, I'm going to be marking things up 30%
Right.
probably
You have to.
to just, and I still would be competitive in that market, but it's it's kind of like we've done this a lot. I feel like we've marketed it consistently, and it's just the people are kind of speaking that, almost like
Yeah.
this isn't something they're interested in. Now, I love the community that was gathering here,
Oh
and
yeah.
and we might replace that again with good old fashioned kind of trade night kind of things,
Right.
again. But yeah, it's difficult. Um, you know, we got you got some guys that are like, I'm only doing this if you're doing hobby cases,
Yeah.
and you got some guys that are like, I'm not spent paying more than $20 for a random spot.
Right.
So,
Well, I will say. I mean, I know we've had this conversation a whole bunch of times over
mhm.
the course of however many years. For me, as a collector,
Yeah.
like, I'm a NASCAR guy, but I dabble in football. But for me to get in like a football break, it
Mhm.
has to be I either want the Steelers or the Browns
Yes.
because those are the teams we collect in our household.
Yes.
So for me personally, a random break doesn't make sense. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like the breaks that we put together,
Mhm.
I think there's value there. Don't get me wrong,
Mhm.
and they're priced very fairly. But just speaking specifically about me and my situation,
Mhm.
it doesn't make sense for me to spend $80
Mhm.
to maybe not get the teams I want.
Yeah. Well, I mean, along those lines, Nick was making fun of me because we did a video about Top Series 2. I literally put something out on like TikTok or whatever, like this is how I'd collect it. And then I specifically said, don't get into any random breaks. And then we tried to run
A random,
almost a random break. But I think we did jump to pick your team or whatever.
yeah,
But it was like, yeah, I mean, it is true. There, we either have a niche of people who want to be in breaks, or we need to source those people possibly elsewhere from like the whatnot
yeah,
area or that sort of thing. So, but I mean, that is not that we don't appreciate everybody who has been doing it, and we're going to keep going. At least a few more weeks here,
yeah,
but then it may be time.
yeah. I tried to in the kind of in the posts over the last 2 days or last day.
Yeah.
I've tried to sort of explain like, hey, you know, if this is the format that you like,
Mm-hmm.
we got to see some support
Mm-hmm.
because you know everybody only wants to hear us talk to each other for so long.
Yes. Well, no, yeah.
Or me and Nick, or you and Nick,
Yeah,
or
oh
whatever
yeah,
combination it
yeah.
is.
I've only got so many points.
Yeah, we can only. I mean,
Yeah.
we can talk for a long time, but we're not making any money.
Mm-hmm.
You're not moving any inventory,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody's getting any cards by doing that.
Yeah, no, and that's true. And sometimes we'll start by, hey, we'll do a personal or whatever like that. But like today, really, we don't have anything. There's literally nobody here besides us.
Right.
Which sometimes there's people, and again, Nick did a good job of reaching out, trying to make this work. He really wanted it to work,
Mm,
and he's put in a good effort doing that.
yeah,
And I said he messed with the cameras enough that I was able to
yeah,
jump in here pretty quickly and get the cameras
right.
pretty much show to work so we could to film this. So I know you mentioned something else you were uh, wanting to talk about, completely different subject.
So, I mean, it's sort of still on topic. So
Okay.
here's what happened is last night, at some point last night, I had somebody that I don't know message me out of the blue and said, "Hey, I'm interested in getting in a break. I see that you're involved in breaking, and um, can you tell me how it works?"
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Yeah, I can tell you how it works." I said, "But let's start with what are you trying to collect?"
Mm-hmm.
I can explain it easier if I know like what avenue you're going.
Yeah.
Are you going baseball, football? Are you collecting a specific player? Are you collecting a specific team?
Mm-hmm.
Give me something,
Mm-hmm.
some direction that you're going, with this. And he said, his response to me was, my friends tell me football's the best investment over the other sports.
Hmm.
And so I was kind of like immediately like, all right, time out, hold
Hmm.
on. You're doing this as an investment,
Yeah.
but you're getting in breaks. And I said, listen, just pump the brakes here, like the literal brakes for a second.
Hmm.
You know, let me preach to you for a second.
Yeah.
I said, brakes are fantastic
Hmm.
for what purpose they serve.
Hmm.
But if you're using this as an investment, that is not the avenue to go, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah. No.
so,
No, it would not.
so we and he continued like this. This went on for about an hour, messages back and forth, and he continued to try to ask, well, do you think football is a better uh, investment than baseball, and this and that, and so I finally got him kind of talked off the ledge a little bit. Um, and I kind of explained to him, why don't you come to a show? I sent him the
Hmm.
Circleville flyer.
Yeah.
Why don't you come to a show,
Yes.
look around, talk to some dealers, buy some singles,
Hmm.
get your feet wet
Learn a
that
little
way,
bit more about the hobby.
you know? Um, so, anyway, I guess my point to all that was, do you think brakes are good for investments? I think
Hmm.
you already know my stance,
Yeah.
even though I'm a breaker.
Yes.
And I do love brakes. They
Hmm.
have a great purpose,
Hmm.
but investment is not one of them in my eye. But
Yeah.
do you think brakes are an investment?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
the second half is, if they are, what sports the investment to
Yeah.
be in and why?
Okay. So, you know, we are very honest and I want to be transparent. So, I have jumped in a couple of these breaks just to help them fill.
Yep.
Even if I have got the you got lucky
Right.
card, the I got lucky card, I still probably lost $20.
Yeah.
And I am not in the business of regularly and intentionally losing money. So, and we just made the joke about random things, and here we are trying to fill random things, and we've put that out there for people. Um, I think the purpose of a break is for you to get a piece of the pie.
Yes.
It's and our local shop is going to be a group of people that are going to be honest, and you're not going to have to worry that we're going to slip a card off the side. You're not going to have to worry about anything like that. But it is for you to get a piece of the pie. If you in your budget can afford the whole piece of the pie, that's probably the better way to go, maybe. And also to go farther, 95% of my income is from sealed products,
Right.
but you cannot bust everything. And you have to pick and choose the products that you like
Yep.
and open those products, take advantage of deals. We had a really good blaster deal this weekend, but take advantage of deals, pick a few products you really like, and only do that if you can afford it. And everybody has a budget, at home. So just in your collecting, maybe that budget is like 60%. I get in breaks that are literally pick your own, or 60%, let's say you buy singles, actually.
There you go.
About 20% you get in breaks that are like pick your team, pick your player, pick whatever,
Yep.
to get some of the new stuff. And then about 20% spend opening the products that you like. To me, that seems like an all around better idea. And the whole idea about investment to me in cards, period, is
Yes.
is a very interesting thing. And again, I'm about to say something the opposite in just a second because it's one of the things I wanted to talk about. But I mean, just anybody that thinks the market's going to continue at the pace that it is for just forever
Right.
is fooling themselves. And so that's the honest
Yeah.
take from me. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'll add a nightcap on that in a second. But
Sure.
so if they are an investment,
Okay.
let's just play devil's advocate for a second.
Yeah.
If they are an investment,
Hmm.
what sport is the sport to invest in and why?
Okay. So if we're gonna play this game,
And I'll share my
okay, if we're gonna play this game, I think that the old adage of like hit them where they ain't kind of thing makes a lot of sense. In football, we just did this blaster sale that I referred to. By far, football went first.
Mm-hmm.
And so it seems like football seems to be the popular place to go, especially even with the case hits. The
Yeah.
football case hits are way more
Yeah.
hot, liquid, I guess, than some of the other case hits from other sports.
Yeah.
So I think that you probably avoid football for the most part. And again, even individual players, you don't buy the guy that's taking off. You buy the guy before he takes off. Or on the opposite, you could play the game where you're playing it safe. And you take the guy that's already proven.
Yes.
So as far as what sport, I don't know. I was shocked, just to throw this into the mix, when we were pricing blasters. There was a few we found just kind of buried.
Yeah.
Well, Scott found a bunch of F1.
Oh.
The F1 blasters that we had marked at like $45 and $50 are $140 a piece everywhere. So obviously that fan base is kind of exploding again.
Yeah.
And Topps limited production based on what they thought that fan base would be.
Sure.
But that would have been a place you probably could have hit them
Yeah.
a few months ago, a year ago, 6 months ago, maybe.
Yeah.
And good. But what's your, if they are an investment, what's your thoughts?
So, well, I'll touch on the whole using braking and what,
Mhm.
do you use brakes for an investment, or what's the? I give everybody the same spiel.
Mhm.
Every time somebody asks me about brakes or how to get started in collecting again, right, I give them the same spiel. You got to decide what it is that you want to collect first.
Yes.
Whether that be, maybe you're a Shohei Ohtani fan.
Mhm.
Okay, great. Collect Shohei.
Mhm.
You're not gonna go wrong. Say you're a Pete Weber bowling fan.
Yeah,
Great. Collect Pete Weber.
for sure.
My catchphrase in my group is always collect what you like.
Yes.
If you start with something you like, and then something changes in the market, something pivots,
Mhm.
the bottom drops out for all we know.
Mhm.
At least you like what you still have.
Yes.
You're not going to be sitting with something thinking, man, I was waiting to sell this.
Yes.
So I always start with, where do you want to be and what do you like?
Mhm.
Brakes are fantastic
Mhm.
for collectors
Mhm.
in my eye. Like my NASCAR group, I classify NASCAR as a ton of collectors.
Yes, for sure.
And the same thing with wrestling. I experienced this at shows as a dealer. Usually people that come to me as a dealer and buy wrestling cards are the end collector.
Yeah.
They're not taking that and then hoping to flip it again.
Yeah.
So if you're a collector, a break can work well for you.
Yes. Yes.
Because like you said, you're getting a piece of the pie, especially if it's pick your team,
Yes.
or pick your player or whatever. You can get a piece of that, or get just the person that you want. Like in my case, Browns and Steelers,
Mhm.
at a much more affordable price than buying the whole box.
Mhm.
But if it's just an investment and that's strictly all you're on,
Mhm.
my advice to him was you need to buy singles.
Yeah.
And I told him, look, if you want my honest opinion, I would buy Hall of Famers.
Mhm.
Guys like I would look for autographs of guys like Larry Bird, Magic Johnson,
Mhm.
baseball players like, I know he's pretty hot right now, but Ken Griffey Jr. If you can get, some of the other play, Peyton Manning, for example,
Mhm.
Eli Manning, even because Eli, even though retired and it seems like his career and everything's done with his market,
Mhm.
he's doing a lot kind of in, productions and
Yeah.
videography and stuff,
Yeah.
So find people that you can collect that are Hall of Famers. Not
Mhm.
My advice is don't collect or gamble on the prospects
Yeah.
that may or may not pan out.
Yes. And I think what, and this could lead into another subject, but I think what has happened recently, since about April, is people have pulled back from being so speculative.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we see the focus on the goats,
Yeah.
the focus on that sort of thing. Now, I think for the overall health, and I said this in a little stupid, probably TikTok thing, for the overall health of the hobby, um, I think that that is probably good, that we stop being so speculative.
Hmm.
And as far as value for the customer, consumer, I think that's better. But for this to grow, fanatics, tops, whatever, they kind of need you to be more speculative.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about, and I kind of feel like we bashed random breaks a little bit, and we kind of bashed even opening as a large segment of what you do. I do want to backpedal and say this, that all people really want is value.
Yes.
If we take the word investment out, they want to open a box and they want to feel like they got value.
Yeah.
That is why Topps Platinum did so well.
Yep. 100%.
That is why you do reach a certain price point in a product, either too high or low enough that people perceive value.
Hmm.
So I did this video, and it is literally the one we did. I did a video, like a TikTok thing, and it's one of the most watched TikToks I've done. It has Jeff Wilson in the background, and it's probably 50, 75,000 people. And then our longest full length video to date, on YouTube as far as views, and it's at around 400 views for a full length video.
Hmm.
And it is where I said, is April the last great month for sports cards?
Right.
Okay. So I want to kind of say a couple things about that. In the video, I'm pretty specific that I say, is it the last great month for your shop? Now, when I think about shops, I'm thinking literally the sealed stuff,
Right.
because this shop personally moves 90% of what it moves. 90% of the gross sales are sealed.
Yeah.
So when I saw that Topps had reached really far with Topps Chrome, and I saw that they even realized that they'd hit a ceiling, that they'd almost offended collectors and offended shops.
I think they did.
Yeah, I think they did. I started to see a backing off on the price of boxes. Now, a lot of people are going to say, I don't see it. All I can tell you is that I see some things behind the scenes with even how Topps speaks to us,
Yeah.
the re-offers from Topps, and just, what's a hobby box coming out at versus what I thought it would. A good example would be Finest comes out this week.
Okay.
When they announced Finest Megas, there were some of the big three trying to sell Finest Megas at $200 a piece, $195 to $200. Now, as the week comes and they're releasing, and this is now a little less than 2 months ago to now,
Yeah.
as they're releasing, they're $85.
Okay.
So they came back down to earth.
Yeah.
I think sports cards sealed is coming back down to earth. I think that adjustment can make it return to value, and I do, or return the value to them. And I do think that even breaks can start to be more affordable if your Topps Chrome football's not $1,100 and it's $6.
Right.
And so, and we could even argue if $6 is even a fair price for that. But I think that can return. So to be specific, I think I was right, but one big but to this. I just saw in April it being the last good month. So I kind of thought, well, that means money's exiting the hobby. Money didn't actually exit the hobby, it just shifted.
Right.
And for the first time ever, you have singles, if they're priced right, as liquid as the sealed stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know,
Yeah.
in 18 years of doing this on a pretty consistent basis, if I've ever seen somebody be able to sell a Kobe Bryant, as long as it's at comp,
Mm-hmm.
over me being able to sell a hobby box that is at market price.
Yeah.
So it was just a big shift in how the money was spent, but I don't feel like anybody really exited the hobby.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, and do you think the combination of that shift from collectors that were semi-offended with some of the pricing,
mhm.
that combined with the massive backlog that PSA's under,
Yeah.
I think that maybe made some people pivot.
Yeah.
Because you had some people that would open products
Mhm.
and then grade
Mhm.
and get those back in time to
Yeah.
do something. And
Yeah, and I think you're talking about the two most speculative areas of our hobby.
yeah,
I'm going to open this box, see what I get. I'm going to send this card away and hope that I get a 10.
right,
And now you've shortened or you've lengthened the time,
right.
and people want instant rewards. So you're trying to lengthen the time of the speculation, and it's just it's weird. I do watch some. There's a guy named Professor Sports Card. I do watch some of his stuff. Um, I was just reading a book about trying to time the market and how that has failed for so many people. I do just feel like this market solid, but is slowed down.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna maybe have the card a little bit longer, or
Mm-hmm.
you've got to prepare that that's the way we're going.
Yeah.
You know, and not the people. And there's a lot of them I love, and a lot of them we know well that are out there buying a case hit at 85 to 90%, saying next weekend or the weekend after, hopefully they can turn it.
Yeah.
I think that's a scary game
That's yeah.
at this point.
I've made it. I mean, I've talked publicly about this before. My the way I operate as a dealer.
Mhm.
If I feel weird sometimes even saying I'm a card dealer, because I really never set out to do that. It was
Yeah.
just one of those things where I said to you one day, "Hey, I think I want to set up at a show,"
Yeah.
and now it's just normal.
Yes.
But for me to say dealer is still weird for me. So, but I try to be like, if somebody comes to me to sell something,
Mhm.
I try to buy cards that are between $20 and $200, because I feel like the amount of people that are out shopping for singles
Yeah.
that can afford that price range
Mhm.
is like the sweet spot.
I would totally agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And your people are always going to be looking in value boxes for the $1, $2, $3,
Mhm.
$5 cards.
Mhm.
That'll always
Mhm.
exist. We've got little ones over here doing it right now.
Yeah, we do.
So that's never going to go away.
Yeah.
But
And I'm thankful for that.
yeah,
Because those guys are just picking up cards right now as we speak.
right. Well,
That they
20,
like.
25 years from now, it's going to be those two sitting here.
Yeah.
And we're going to be in a rocking chair.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I might be there in less than 25, but yeah, they're just getting guys they
Yeah.
like, and yeah,
But that's the sweet spot for me as a buyer, because I feel beyond $200, and I use myself as that gauge. I don't own a lot of cards that are more than $200.
yeah,
I mean, I have some, but not a lot. And so for me to go out and spend that kind of money on something, is pretty rare.
yeah. Oh, I
But
totally get
but
it.
for me to go buy a $40 or $50 card,
Mhm.
yeah, fairly regularly.
Yeah, um, yeah. No, I totally agree. I mean, one other thing I would just say that not to sound like a broken record on this, but as the hobby boxes did get out of hand, although I think Tops is to blame for some of that, or Fanatics is to blame for some of that, testing the market. I think they found the ceiling.
Yeah.
I do feel that they provided a reasonable solution, or they tried to, and it seems like people are getting hits, reasonable value out of blasters and things like that. But now that's what people are choosing. They're choosing $35 blasters, $75 megas, not $400
Not hobby.
and $600 hobby boxes. So
See, and you and I, partly because you're the shop owner,
yeah,
and so you have to be either the yin or the yang, whichever one of it is. You have to be one of those.
yeah,
But I tend to, when we talk about Tops and Fanatics,
Yeah.
I tend to be the opposite to you
mm-hmm.
in conversation sometimes.
Yeah.
I look at it from the perspective of, I think it's great that they are pumping up retail.
Yes,
I think that's great for a whole bunch of reasons.
Yeah.
But, and there's a huge but for me,
mm-hmm.
like when I look at what wrestling did,
Mm-hmm.
Panini had the wrestling license. They did, Prism, Chronicles, Select,
Mm-hmm.
all their lines.
Mm-hmm.
And we were seeing hobby boxes from Panini at $150, $175.
Mm-hmm.
Prism was maybe $2.25.
Yeah.
And you were getting 2 to 3 hits per box.
Yes.
And now the license has shifted and Tops has it. We haven't seen, I don't know that we've seen a product under $250
besides flagship tops, probably.
which they haven't done. They haven't done a flagship yet
Oh, are you talking about for football?
for wrestling.
For
I'm just talking about
wrestling?
wrestling.
Okay, for
I'm
wrestling.
just talking
Okay,
about wrestling
yeah,
specifically.
yeah.
You know
You're
what I mean?
right.
They
You're
haven't
right.
done a
No,
affordable line yet,
I agree. Yep.
and there's so the prices are up and the hits are less in hobby.
Hmm.
So while I think it's great that they're trying to pump up retail, and I
Hmm.
think they should continue, they got to figure out a way to get the hobby.
Hmm.
We talked about where's the value.
Yeah.
They got to find a way to get some more value in the hobby boxes.
Yeah.
If they want the price to stay for, Topps Chrome football at $600 a hobby box,
Yeah.
then we got to find a way to get some value in the box.
100%. And I talk about you know diversification. Getting into some other things, getting into singles more,
Hmm.
those sort of things. I do feel that if Tops could just, inflation's happened. I mean, everything's more expensive, but if Tops could just back off the pricing, or customers demand, maybe the secondary market just demands it, the prices even drop 20 or 30% on hobby boxes. I think we're back to seeing some of those people that said, ho ho, I'm out of this.
Hmm.
I think we would see them back grabbing a hobby
Dabbling,
box,
yeah,
dabbling again. And yeah, I mean, I hope to see that, that day, because yeah, it's, we was just talking, I was talking to Scott earlier, and he really brought up the numbers. And I think, the numbers are, for the week, are decent, but you're looking at, even before this sale, that we had this weekend, you're looking at 65 to 70% blasters
wow,
versus hobby. So it's just, it used to be a big deal to me. Oh, I only got one or two cases of hobby. Now I'm kind of like, if they're $400 a box, I don't need three
right.
cases.
Give me the hangers and
Yeah,
megas
give
and
me the hangers
blasters.
and the
Yeah,
megas and the blasters. Yeah, and so they did add or hangers to this program. So supposedly they're supposed to roll that out. So that's good. But no, megas right now are kind of that. You know, if you can get lucky, find them in a store. They're kind of the way to. They're the underprinted
mm-hmm,
stuff. That's what I would say.
mm-hmm,
Your hobby at 400 is sitting in your local card shop shelf. We're getting plenty of blasters, but nobody's getting plenty of megas.
right.
That's how I kind of feel. So if you find those in the wild, as some people would refer
Right.
to it, I think some of the better value might be there.
I talked about last night. I was doing a break, um, and I kind of talked about how, and you might be able to speak to this better than I can. So maybe I'll ask you the question and let you answer it.
Hmm.
How many people does a case of blasters go through? How many sets of hands, or how many? From tops.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Forget the direct for a minute.
Okay.
Say this Topps Chrome Update baseball
Yeah.
box, this blaster that's right in front of us.
Yeah.
Say it went to a store.
Yeah.
How many hands or how many places did that pass through before it finally made it to the consumer?
Yeah. So are you asking, like, if it's at Walmart?
Yeah,
Yeah.
or
Even to me.
even to you.
So I mean, part of what Topps did is they got rid of all the other distribution. So I can't even get Topps from any distributor except for them.
Okay,
So there's literally no. It's, hey,
so like
this is,
the MK Holdings,
yeah.
Tops doesn't deal with them.
So they do.
Okay.
They deal with MK Holdings for the retail stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, there's at least, but I think that's probably it. It's probably Topps, MK Holdings on the store shelf.
Okay.
For me, it's, your offer price on this is $17.50. I'm just making
Right.
that up. I don't know.
Just something off the wall.
That's
Yeah.
that price is probably a couple years old. But say $20, then yeah, I'm getting it for $20. Shipping's included in that. All of my contacts are through Topps. I've got a sales rep through
Yeah.
Topps. Now, the Panini stuff is still touching a couple hands.
Yeah.
And if you get even weirder and you get into some more, like, start talking about wild card and you start talking about that, if you don't go direct with some of these little companies, which could be a nightmare if they're expecting you to take everything,
Yeah.
but for the ability to pick and choose, I just want 5 of these, you're being upcharged by these other distributors quite
Yeah.
a bit. Maybe on a hobby, $5 to $10.
Which
So
can be the difference in, if like you said, if you're only buying a half a dozen of something,
yeah.
you know, now you're talking maybe $60 on your order,
Hmm.
which may be the difference whether you made money or broke even, or
Yeah.
uh, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, we were talking about it, and I said, imagine a world where there was no, not to pick on MK Holdings, but we all know who they are and
Yeah.
their existence. Imagine a world where they don't exist,
Hmm.
and if Panini wants to sell select blasters
Hmm.
at Walmart, they ship a case to Walmart, and Walmart's employee puts them on the shelf.
Yeah.
If you could cut out the middleman completely,
Hmm.
wouldn't that bring the cost down
I mean,
some?
I would think so. I would think so. But I wonder, are we talking $1 or two?
Right.
Maybe $1 or two. And then with hobby, there's definitely no other way. Just you know,
Yeah.
it's direct from tops. I will say, just to me, this spoke to. Now we talk about football's a little bit more popular, but we kind of this will give you an idea what tops finest football was solicited to me at price wise, and versus what tops finest baseball was solicited to me direct price first wave
Hmm.
was over $300 difference.
Football over baseball.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And I don't like, so the end result is first week pricing on like, finest baseball is probably going to be 300, where first week pricing on finest was 750
For football.
for football. So, but again, is that in that period of time where Tops goes, uh-oh, we're
Yeah.
kind of waking up too to this.
Yeah.
We can't milk the football thing that much.
Well, and I was just thinking, that's not only are you comparing football to baseball, but just to add another variable to that thought is finest is 2025,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So, like I said, yeah, I mean that's a whole nother,
Hmm.
because the 2025 rookie class is going to have a ton of cards printed
Yes.
between Panini
And
and Tops, and
yes.
then all your other, your Leafs and your wild cards and everything else.
Yes.
But that 2025 year run is going to be maybe the most overprinted
Yeah.
football run.
Ever.
So for them to have that big of a gap from football to baseball was shocking to me.
Yeah.